Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, this is Inorganic Material Chemistry Chem 3115 course, and this is 31st lecture of this course. And the topic which we are going to discuss is sol gel synthesis, and this is third lecture of this topic. The key concepts which we are going to discuss, they are gel point, aging, drying, metal oxides via sol gel method, gel point, aging and drying. These are continuity from the previous lecture. These are other steps of sol gel method. Then we will discuss about metal oxide via sol gel, inorganic metal salt precursors, which are of three types: olation, oxalation, polyhedra, and also competing anions. And we will also discuss about alk oxide precursors, their reducing reactivity, and finally we will discuss about advantages and disadvantages of sol gel method. So starting from the gel point, which is represented by T gel, it is time at which the gel point is reached after starting hydrolysis. The gel point is not a thermodynamic event. It is just the time after which the gel point is reached when we start from the hydrolysis. For different materials, gel time with 0.05 mole catalyst. For HCl it is 92 hours, H2SO4 106 hours, for ammonium hydroxide 107 hours, for HI 400 hours, and without any catalyst it can be 1000 hours. A gel grows by forming a network which extends across the entire container. Here we use percolation theory. The figure 4.52, it shows side percolation on a square lattice. The figure A, where the P is equal to 0.5, and figure B, where P is 0.75, is the fraction of filled spheres. So P represents the fraction of the filled spheres. So according to percolation theory, if the fraction of filled spheres is more, then the condensation will be more. In the B diagram you can see the value of P is equal to 0.75, and in A figure you can see the P is equal to 0.50. Next is the aging. As the viscosity rapidly increases, the solvent is trapped inside the gel. The structure may change considerably with time depending on pH, temperature, and solvent. The gel is still present, still alive. So the liquid phase still contains sol particles and agglomerates which will continue to react and will condense as the gel dries. The gel is regionally flexible. Groups on the neighboring branches will condense, making the gel even more viscous. This will squeeze out the liquid from the interior of the gel and shrinkage occurs. This process will continue as long as there is flexibility in the gel. Hydrolysis and condensation are reversible processes, and material from thermodynamically unfavorable points will dissolve and precipitate at more favorable points. So this whole process is the aging, which is when we get the gel and we make it more viscous, and by making the more viscous gel is called the aging. Next is the drying. During aging, we remove the liquid from the gel. When the liquid is removed from the gel, several things may happen. When the liquid in the gel is replaced by air, major changes to the network structure may occur. If the structure is maintained, an aerogel can be formed. If the structure collapses, a zero gel can be formed. So normal drying of the gel leads to structural collapse due to capillary forces drawing the walls of the pores together and reducing the pore size. OH groups on the opposite side may react and form new bonds by condensation. Cracking may occur when the tension in the gel is so large that it cannot shrink anymore. Gel will enter the pores with a thin film of liquid on the walls. This will evaporate and only isolate spaces with liquids are left. So during drying, these different processes occurs. One is the simple drying, in which the gel will collapse and we will get zero gel. Another process can be the air can accommodate into the pores of the gel and we will get aerogel. Sometimes during the shrinkage of the gel do not bear the tension and it can crack. Cracking may occur. So these are different processes which occur during drying of the gel. Here is an example of synthesis of metal oxides via sol-gel method. Metal oxides can be formed via sol-gel methods such as silicon oxide. Processes less understood are investigated. Principles the same as for silicon oxide, but the some differences in chemistry and precursors. So we have inorganic metal salt precursors, metals less electronegative than silicon. The water molecules of the hydrated metal ions acts as acid. The reactions are moved towards lower pH if the pH is less than 3. For example, aluminium hydroxide is used if pH is more than 3, then we get aluminium hydroxide hydrated, and if pH is more than 3 and 3, then aluminium oxygen aluminium bond will be formed. A network may be formed via two routes, olation and oxidation. So these are inorganic metal salt precursors. One is olation and the second one is oxidation. Olation. Hydroxy bridges are formed by nucleophilic substitution where an OH group attack and water leaves. It is important that water is not coordinated too hard to the metal in order for this reaction to occur. The smaller the change and the larger the metal ion, the larger the olation rate. So here we have a metal hydroxide. It acts as a nucleophile and it reacts with the metal. We get metal, OH metal plus water. Again this OH reacts with metal and we get metal, metal and hydrogen. We get water molecules. So similarly in another reaction, if we have metal hydroxide plus water, metal hydroxide and water, so they can interact with each other and a cyclic product can be formed. This process is called olation. The second one is oxidation. Oxidation is a condensation reaction When an oxo bridge is formed, if the metal is under coordinated, the oxidation happens by fast nucleophilic addition reaction. So here we have metal oxide. A cyclic structure will be formed where metal oxygen, metal oxygen. On the other hand, oxidation is a two-step addition elimination process. At basic conditions, step 1 is catalyzed. At acidic conditions, step 2 is catalyzed. The reaction is slow at the isoelectrical point. So for example, this is first step. It acts on the metal and we get this one. And in second step, another water molecule is removed and we get this one. Whether gel formation or precipitation occur depends on the reaction conditions and the thickness. Gel formation occurs when reactions are slow. So these are two processes: olation, where hydroxy bridges are formed, and oxidation, where oxy bridges are formed. Hydroxy bridges means the oxygen has hydrogen, and oxy bridge means only oxygen bridges the two metal atoms. Next are the inorganic metal salt precursors and the formation of polyhedra. Silicon is tetrahedrally coordinated to oxygen and tetrahedra linked by corner shares. Many different coordination numbers and polyhedra metals have metals with different coordination numbers. They can form polyhedra. And polyhedra can be held together by corner, by edge to edge, by face to face. So for example, here we have aluminium, and this aluminium, it has oxygens, 5 oxygen atoms from 5 water molecules, and the sixth one is a hydroxyl group. And other aluminium with 5 water molecules with oxygens and an hydroxyl group. One water molecule will be left, or two water molecules will be left, and it will condensate at 2 points by giving us polyhedra. Again, we can react this structure to get an other bridging group, and this can further bridge to an other group to make more polyhedra. So here two polyhedra, they are reacting with each other through edges. These two atoms, they are making edges of the polyhedra. So this big circle, empty circle, it represents water molecules, and this small dot, black in color, it represents hydroxyl group, and these are attached to aluminium at different positions. Next is the inorganic metal salt precursors, competing anions. Anions from metal salt become liquid in metal complex, affects condensation reactions as site not occupied with water ligand. Affects particle double layer, may result in destabilization of particle due to change in ionic strength. The second one are alk oxide precursors. There are some differences between silicon alkoxide and metal alkoxide. Metal alkoxides are stronger Lewis acids and will promote nucleophilic attack. Hydrolysis of titanium alkoxide is up to 10.5 times faster than for the corresponding silicon oxide. So metal alkoxides, due to stronger Lewis acid properties as compared to silicon, they give more fast reactions as compared to silicon alkoxides. Most metals have several stable coordination numbers or may easier expand the coordination spheres, which imply transit species easier to form. The hydrolysis reactivity of different metal precursors, metal alkoxides, they are given here. The silicon alkoxide is less, then stainless is more, titanium is more, zirconium is more than titanium, and cerium is more. When reacting with water, many metal alkoxides form precipitates, while the alkoxysilanes needs catalysis. The reaction rates must be decreased for metal alkoxides. Hydrolysis occur through an addition elimination reaction. So here we have water molecule, it reacts on metal alkoxide and we get this thing, and after this one it reacts with other water molecules and we get metal hydroxy group, and this metal hydroxy group will react with metal alkoxide and it will make olation group, and after that it will make oxidation group where metal oxide metal bond is formed. Alkoxide precursors have reducing reactivity. Metal alkoxides may be polymeric. Silicon alkoxide tend to be monomeric. Polymeric species react slower than monomeric species. Small ligands result in faster reaction than large ligands. So bidentate ligands also slow down the hydrolysis. So it means that if the alkoxide precursors, if they are monomers, they will have more reacting capability. If they are polymers, for example, if they are bidentates, then the reactivity will be less. Here is an example of titanium alkoxide. It reacts with acetic acid and it produces a cage-like structure, and similarly it also reacts in the presence of another organic compound and we get different products of different nature. Here are some metal alkoxides with formula and boiling point. These representative metal alkoxides, they are employed in glass preparation by sol-gel processing. First one is silicon ethoxide, which is represented by TeOS. The formula is silicon ethoxide. The boiling point is 168 and at pressure 760 mmHg. Second one is silicon methoxide, TMOS. Its boiling point is 153 degrees centigrade at 760 mmHg. Next one is the boron N-butoxide. Its boiling point is less, 128 degrees centigrade at 760 mmHg. Next is the aluminium N-propoxide. Its boiling point is 205 at very low pressure. Aluminium N-butoxide. Its also boiling point is very less at very low pressure, and if the pressure is increased to 10 then the boiling point becomes 284. So actually these three alkoxides, their boiling points are very high, so we need to reduce the pressure to lower down their boiling points, and their boiling points are 205 at 1 mmHg, 284 at 10 mmHg, 242 at 0.7. So it is almost vacuum condition, so we need to provide vacuum to these materials to boil them, otherwise it will be very difficult to boil these alkoxides. Then germanium ethoxide, its boiling point is also it's very difficult to boil. We need 12 mmHg pressure and its boiling point will be 86 degrees centigrade. Then titanium ethoxide, its boiling point is 103 degrees Celsius at 0.1 mmHg. Titanium tertiary its boiling point is 93.8 at 5 mmHg pressure, and zirconium ethoxide whose boiling point is 190 degrees Celsius at 0.1 mmHg pressure. So silicon alkoxides are not very active. Hydrolysis condensation reaction rates must be increased by catalysts. Hydrolysis and condensation reactions of non-silicate metal oxides must be controlled by using chemical additives like complexing ligands, for example, acetyl acetone. There are many applications of sol gel synthesis methods. As an example, lead, zirconium, titanium oxide is shown here, which is also called PZT. The method may provide good control over stoichiometry and reduced sintering temperature. This is especially important if one of the components are volatile, may also enable production of low temperature phases. So if one of the precursor component is volatile, if we use solid state reaction, it will evaporate because the volatile substances evaporate very easily, and it will be removed from the reaction mixture and we will not get this component. So to avoid this problem, we can use Sol-Gel method, and one of the component which is volatile can be kept into the reaction mixture. So PZT is a very important material. The largest piezoelectric response is obtained for when the value of X is 0.47. It is a piezoelectric material. The piezoelectric materials maybe you have seen in different buildings. You will just uh, hit your foot on the floor and some light will be on. So these are the piezoelectric materials where you apply a little force and they respond. So the stoichiometry is difficult to control by the ceramic method, where heating at 1100 degrees centigrade for several hours is needed. So instead of that, if we use simple sol gel synthesis in which we have titanium alkoxide, zirconium alkoxide, lead acetate and acetyl acetone, first of all we get liquid reaction mixture, and after that we remove volatiles, we get solid PZT precursor, and it is dissolved into the alcohol. We get PZT coating sol, and coating is annealed at 575 to 700 degrees centigrade, and we get PZT polycrystalline film. So these are processing steps for the preparation of polycrystalline PZT films, and we can easily control the stoichiometry. For example, if we want X 0.47, then the mole ratio will be set just like titanium will be 0.47 and zirconium will be 0.53, because if zirconium is 1 and 1 minus x, 1 minus 0.47 means 0.53. Zirconium will be 0.53 and titanium will be 0.47, and we will get required product. So this is the cross-sectional diagram of polycrystalline PZT fiber with the composition: lead zirconium 0.53, titanium 0.47. The grain size is 2 to 4 micrometer. So the grain size means the size of one grain. This is the scanning electron microscopic image of PZT. So overall, the Sol-Gel method can be seen in this picture. We have solution where hydrolysis occurs. There can be two different routes. So one is the left route and the second one is the right route. The difference is that we have solution of metal alkoxide. By hydrolysis we get sol. Similarly, by hydrolysis we will get sol. The gelation can be of two types. One is polymeric gel formation and second one is the particulate gel formation. And after the polymer or particulate gel is dried, we get dried gel, and on firing we get dense material, which is our final product. Here are some advantages of sol gel method. It is a versatile technique, better control of the structure including porosity and particle size, possibility of incorporating nanoparticles and organic materials into sol-gel derived oxides, extended composition ranges, better homogeneity, less energy consumption, no need of specific or expensive equipment. We can get coatings and thin films, monoliths, composites, porous membranes, powders, and fibers. However, there are some drawbacks of sol-gel method. Sometimes the precursors are very costly, shrinkage of wet gel upon drying, which often leads to fracture due to the generation of large capillary stress and consequently makes difficult the attainment of large monolithic pieces. Preferential precipitation of a particular oxide during sol formation, especially in multi-component glasses due to different reactivity of the alkoxide precursors. Sometimes it is difficult to avoid residual porosity and hydroxyl groups. So here is an example of a material where silicon has some linked groups. So I will not talk more about it. Students can read this. This is all about this lecture. Thank you very much.